I should have started doing that in the beginning of class because I've been forgetting. So any questions while I pull up the info on the assignment? All right. Cool. Well, conveniently, I have the info up. All right, so this week, I feel like the assignment is like fairly straightforward. It's pretty much just like take your hero object and model it. So just to be clear, someone in my last class, they asked, this is not modeling all 3 objects. This is, you know, the main fancy object that you're making, not the furniture or decorative object. So it's like whatever one of the other 3 objects. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was due this class.
No.
I didn't turn it in,
No.
What was due this class?
No.
What was due this class?
Oh, sorry. So this class was due basically the refined room layout, and then blocking in all of your main objects. So this was the assignment from last week. Pretty much like, again, refine your walls. Imagine that your room was like you were going into an empty apartment. Make whatever you would see in that empty apartment, so like doors, window frames, moldings, make that all look nice. All right. Any other questions on stuff? All right. So again, this is the 3rd object of your like main 3 objects that are not your decorative or furniture object, and pretty much model the whole thing, or at least get it as close to complete as you can. And again, pay attention. This should be done to scale, and pay attention to stuff like if it comes apart or is like made in different materials, that kind of thing. I'll go over that more in like 10 seconds, but basically model it, and if you can, UV the thing. If you aren't able to finish the model this week, I would rather you just work on the model than like make weird temporary UVs you're gonna have to redo, because that just takes away time from the model. Honestly, I'm less concerned about the UVs. It's more like at some point it needs to get done. So like if you have time, why not now? But yeah, so pretty much do the whole thing. So again, going from here on out, it's going to be pretty front-loaded with like modeling all of your different objects. So I think it was next week you're going to be texturing your main object. The week after that, you're modeling both your furniture and your decorative object, and then just sort of texturing as you go. Yes?
What if your hero object is just a cube with a displacement map? Then should we model the cube this week and then texture it next week?
What is your object?
Keyboard.
Oh. Interesting. So wait, people mentioned that you were rendering in Octane?
Yeah.
Is it called? Does that support displacement maps?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I mean, Unity just supports displacement maps. It's just how do I get the displacement maps into Unity to begin with? But it
Gotcha.
doesn't show off in the render once you get it.
Okay. So I mean, if your object is basically a cube, I would say maybe move forward with like texturing or like some of your other objects. Hang on, 2 seconds. But actually, so to be fair, I know nothing about rendering displacements in Unity. It might be more efficient to, depending on, if you're gonna get like really close to it, it might just be faster to just add in some keys. I guess I had a lot of people concerned about poly count and stuff like that. And the way I think about it is, pretty much if you have, in any like reasonable looking game, if you have like a main character, it's going to be more or less a minimum of like 3,000 tries. At this point, like computers and game systems and stuff are better, so you can actually even have more than that for like a main character. So you'd have to have like a crap ton of a lot of, you know, keys on that keyboard or whatever to actually equal a single character, of which you can have multiple in the scene and it's not going to hurt anything. So I wouldn't be too terribly concerned about poly count. It might be easier to actually just model keys in. But again, kind of personal preference. I'm actually curious to see how displacement work in Unity. But did that sort of answer your question? Okay, cool. And then you had a question.
Can you, this might be wrong, but can you work on other stuff as well?
I have no objection if you want to go over and work on other stuff.
All right, so
Yeah.
if I texture my hero object as well, and then I do furniture stuff,
Yeah,
that's fine.
totally fine.
Okay, cool.
It might, if you happen to want feedback or whatever, and you submit stuff early, just like let me know. I'll give you feedback on your model. But yeah, if you guys ever want to like work ahead, obviously I have no objections with this. It's totally gonna make your life easier in the long run, because I think like week 9 or 10, it's pretty much just like whatever you don't have done, like finish everything, like do all of the other stuff in your room and like texture everything and like fix. So like if you have stuff done, it'll make your life easier then. Any other questions on stuff? All right. So in terms of just like thinking about the different workflows for stuff, so in terms of like making things as one piece and doing UVs, for some reason I'm like really into using stand mixers as examples for things. Not really sure why. But if you're looking at something like this stand mixer, so if you're doing like an animation, if you're doing like an animation project or, you know, making something like for a commercial product display kind of thing, you'd probably want to make this in as much detail as you can. So like, and it doesn't really matter how many pieces you have because render time is not a huge issue. So I'd probably like separate the top of this guy out, make this button a separate piece. If you were so inclined, you could even cut out this weird metal strip and that could be its own piece. Probably make this little button a separate piece. So again, it kind of just like depends on what you're doing. If this was a game mesh and I was going for like poly efficiency and texture efficiency, I would be like, all right, this entire mixer is a single giant piece. Unless I need this, you know, top part to actually move, in which case I will make that a separate piece. But like I would just model this little button in or texture it in. This would just pretty much just be like a tiny little extrusion on the side. Because again, you're going for efficiency. So it really depends on what you guys are actually going for. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? Cool. And then for UVing, game kids, you might consider laying all your UVs out on a single map, as if this was, you know, like a real asset to go in like a real game, not sort of like a weird thing rendered in Unity. Not a requirement, but could be good practice for later. Anim kids, I don't really care what your UVs do as long as they're not broken and they get you the textures that you need. Pretty much anything you've been doing for previous assignments should be fine for this. And then in terms of what to submit, just throw me a zip file with your Maya scene, some renders of your object in the scene. So just like either pick your day or nightlight, pick your daylight or nightlight, whichever you like better, and just like render your object in the scene with that lighting. And then any reference images you used for modeling your main object. If you could, also please drop a note in the submission comments if you're doing high or low poly models, just so I know, like I don't want to accidentally look at your thing that's designed to be low poly and be like, oh my god, this smooths terribly. Nah. So again, just please let me know what you're doing, otherwise I might give you weird feedback that doesn't make sense for your model. Are there any questions on this? All right, cool. In that case, that's pretty much it, and we also have like 6 minutes left, so be free. You have 6 more minutes to get wherever you're going.